They thought nobody was watching, right? They really did. Imagine this, while I was halfway across the state on business, a bunch of guys with chainsaws and chippers rolled up on my land like it was theirs. 50 acres of Douglas fir, the trees my wife Claire had poured her soul into for 15 years, just leveled. When I pulled back up the drive, all that was left were these raw, bleeding stumps reaching out of the Dakota dirt like bones in some old battlefield, the kind folks just forget about. Unless it's your bones out there. Now, you might think the folks behind this would at least have the guts to face me. Nope. The HOA president, Veronica Sterling, was sitting up in her glass box of an office, probably sipping coffee, watching the whole massacre go down. Her only message was an email abatement complete. Welcome to Aspen Ridge, like this was all just part of the plan. But she had no clue who she was dealing with. I'm not just some grumpy landowner who grumbles into his coffee. I'm a retired federal auditor. My entire career was sniffing out fraud so deep you'd think it was fossilized. And she just handed me the perfect reason to open the nastiest audit of my life. I stood there in the cold, the air so sharp you could almost hear it cracking. That smell of pine resin, sweet, a little bitter. Just like it used to cling to Clara's hair. You know, we'd only bought that land a few months after she lost her fight with a cancer so cruel, I barely got to say goodbye. All she wanted wasn't a monument, nothing fancy. She just wanted those 350 Christmas trees to stand as what she left behind. They're everything, Arthur. Just take care of them, she whispered that last night, her hand cold in mine. And now gone. All of it. Torn out by strangers, sent by a woman who had zero legal claim over my property. I know that for a fact because before I signed the deed, I checked every inch of the 1992 plat map Summit County records right there in black and white. My farm parcel 5/17 was not part of Aspen Ridge HOA, not by a long shot. I even sent Veronica a certified letter laying all that out after her first violation notice showed up. Guess what? She never responded, she just sent the chainsaws. I was standing there, mouth full of words I can't say here when a county cruiser pulled up. Right behind it, a spotless white Lexus. Out steps Veronica, all dolled up in this crimson St. John suit, platinum hair perfect, like the wind wasn't even real for her. She walked straight to the deputy officer, Jensen. Just a kid, didn't even look at me. Officer, thank you for responding so quickly. This gentleman has been making threats against our enforcement staff. We had to act to ensure community safety. I swear you could see the gears grinding in the deputy's head. Who do I believe, the rich lady in the fancy car, or the guy covered in sawdust standing in a graveyard of his own trees? Mr. Vance, he says, all careful. Mrs. Sterling called about harassment, the tree situation. Well, that's civil. You'll need a lawyer. A civil matter? I asked, teeth clenched. What's civil about wiping out $85,000 in trees? You don't even have jurisdiction over. Veronica's smile just turned sharky. The value is irrelevant, Mr. Vance. It was an unauthorized commercial operation. Our covenants, I let them leave. I knew the game. She wanted to set the stage, get a paper trail, making me look like the nutcase forced me into her arena. But I don't fight by other people's rules. I fight with facts. And right then, fate threw me a bone. Near the eastern fence, half buried in the torn-up soil, I found Clara's green planting journal, leather soft and smooth from her hands. Next to it, a grubby work glove with an SFT logo stitched on. Inside, get this, a crumpled carbon copy receipt. I smoothed it out and just stared. Sold to Sterling Family Trust, 350 units, $85,000, paid by wire. The exact number of trees Clara planted. All this time, Veronica wasn't just being petty, she was stealing. Next morning, the walls went up. Summit County Clerk said the 1992 plat maps for my area were under digitization 6 to 8 weeks minimum. What luck, right? And the digitization request came from Aspen Ridge, HOA. 3 weeks before I even bought the place. She'd been planning this all along. So I stopped wasting time with local government. My first call was to the Colorado State Archives in Denver. State keeps the masters always. 2 days later, I had a certified scan of that original survey, printed it out, and spread it across my kitchen table like battle plans. My parcel, 517 way outside the HOA boundary. But what nearly stopped my heart was seeing 28 other parcels marked with the same exclusion note. I wasn't the only victim, just the latest. The next 4 days, I barely slept. I dove into 8 years of HOA tax filings, Form 990s, everything with Veronica's name and signature. Aspen Ridge claimed 220 dues-paying households, but county records showed only 192 within the real boundary. That left 28 properties, neighbors paying illegal dues for 8 years. I did the math, $1.1 million stolen. Then there was the Sterling Family Trust, registered to Veronica M. Sterling, business purpose, real estate, and agricultural commodities. A quick cross-reference of the trust and HOA bank records I got through a little-known compliance request showed money transfers over and over from an enhancement fund right into Veronica's trust. It was a slush fund, and the horror stories were everywhere. Like Mr. Silas Thorne, retired teacher, HOA seized his classic '69 Chevy C10, auctioned it for $65,000 over a made-up storage violation. Or Helen Miller, widow, forced to tear down her husband's gazebo, Veronica's trust pocketed $18,000 from the salvage. Every one of them lived on those 28 excluded parcels. Veronica was targeting the elderly, the isolated, the ones too tired to fight. But her own history sealed the deal. Her husband died suddenly in 2016, leaving her with nearly $500,000 in debt. 3 months later, she runs unopposed and wins HOA president. 6 months after that, the Sterling Family Trust pops up. By 2023, her debt's gone and she's buying a vacation home in Vail for cash. That timeline doesn't lie. The day I finished my audit, a legal notice arrived, $78,000 in back dues foreclosure in 30 days if I didn't pay. She wasn't playing defense. She wanted me buried. But I wasn't about to fight alone. I tracked down all 28 excluded property owners and sent them each a letter. Your land isn't in Aspen Ridge HOA. You've been paying dues to an organization with no authority over you. If you want proof, meet me at the Old Pioneer Chapel, December 15th, 7:00 p.m. 19 showed up, Silas, cane in hand, Helen with a faded permit, folks who'd been bled dry for years. I unrolled the plat map and let them see the truth for themselves. You've never heard an eruption like that. Anger tears even laughter. One man cried over an emergency assessment that nearly cost him his home. Another said, "She made me tear down my son's treehouse." What kind of person does that? Then a woman stood up in the back, her face full of conflict. "My name is Janet Sterling," she said, quiet. "Veronica is my sister-in-law. I'm on the HOA board. She's planning to shred all financial records older than 3 years next Tuesday, blame storage. She's about to destroy the evidence." That twist changed everything. For 3 days, I worked on my drop-calm clinical 6 pages with every scrap of evidence, every map, every spreadsheet. I sent it to every email address in the HOA directory, thanks to Janet. The subject line was simple: the truth about Aspen Ridge HOA. By the next day, the whole place was chaos. Some called for Veronica's head, others wanted me arrested for harassment. Veronica herself. She put out a one-sentence denial, but Janet texted board meeting canceled. Veronica knew she couldn't touch those files now without making herself look guilty. Next afternoon, my phone rang. "Mr. Vance, Detective Riley, Summit County Sheriff. The FBI would like to talk to you about possible wire fraud involving Aspen Ridge HOA." I told him I'd see them after the annual meeting. December 20th, 7 p.m. Aspen Ridge Community Center packed wall to wall, at least 350 people, same as the number of trees she'd stolen. Local news was there. Veronica sat on stage, calm as a glacier in her black Chanel suit. She saw me coming. She was ready. "Good evening, neighbors," she said into the mic, fake sweet. "Before we proceed, I want to address the defamatory nonsense this week. Grief can cloud judgment. Every action by this board is legal." She moved to the budget, but I raised my hand. "Point of order, Mrs. Sterling." She tried to shut me down, but I called her on it. Her own agenda had quietly removed public comment. The crowd caught on. Veronica caved barely. 45 minutes of nobody listening to her budget phones out everywhere. Finally, she opened the floor. "Mr. Vance, please be brief." I stood up, plugged my USB into the projector. The room went dark, the screen lit up behind her. "My name's Arthur Vance," I said. "Tonight I'm going to show you exactly what she stole." First slide, the 1992 plat map boundaries clear as day. Next, a spreadsheet, $1.1 million taken. Next, trust records, slush fund transfers, names and faces. Silas, Helen, the 350 Christmas trees. Veronica tried to stop me. "This is fabricated. We filed a boundary adjustment in 2015, so I asked Stan, the secretary, if he could find those minutes." Stan was sweating bullets. "Mrs. Sterling, there's no record of that adjustment in 2015. Veronica's mask slipped. I clicked to the last slide, an email from Veronica to the board. "Don't worry about legal implications. Nobody ever checks." That did it. Veronica lost it, screaming, "That's fake." "Who gave you that?" Janet stood up right in the middle of the room. "I did, Veronica, and I'm done protecting you." The crowd became a storm. Silas raised a photo of his Chevy. "This is my truck," he said. "She sold it. Never gave me a cent." Helen stood with her permit. People who'd never spoken started shouting about fines, threats, assessments. Then Veronica snapped, "You built all this with whose money I asked?" And she confessed, not smart, just mad. "With my money. My husband died, no one helped me. So yes, I took what I needed, I earned it." At that exact second, the double doors banged open, 2 men in dark suits, Detective Riley behind them. Veronica Sterling, the lead agent, said, "Federal Bureau of Investigation. You are under arrest for wire fraud, mail fraud, and conspiracy." The soft click of handcuffs was the real ending. She had nothing left. As they took her away, her eyes were empty, just gone. I stayed at the podium, picked up Clara's journal, and wrote the date on a new page. 3 months later, Veronica pled out. 12 years in federal prison, every penny repaid, lifetime ban from anything resembling power. Her name a warning to every HOA in America. The 28 victims got their money back. Silas bought a new C10 and handed me his old Ford keys. "So you've always got a way forward," he said. The HOA dissolved. Stan, the secretary, became the new president. First act, removing every excluded parcel from the books, sending apologies to each family. First spring on the Dakota Plain, I drove out, expecting to be alone, just me in the empty field. But when I arrived, 40 people were waiting: Silas, Helen, Janet, even strangers who'd read the news. They'd raised money, bought 350 Douglas fir saplings, and handed me a shovel. "We thought you might need help replanting," Silas said, eyes bright. All afternoon, folks dug and watered, turning that graveyard back into hope. Silas planted the first tree right where Clara had planted hers. That night, I opened Clara's journal and wrote 5 words: "The roots are still growing." Veronica thought she could rip everything out. Money memories, the last bit of my wife's legacy. But she never understood how deep roots go. Truth, like life, always finds a way to break through. Now let me ask you, what's the worst HOA abuse you've ever seen, ever gone up against a system rigged against you? Drop your story below. Let's shine a light on these petty tyrants and see how deep our roots go. If you believe the truth still wins, share this story, and let's make sure nobody forgets.